listening to Xposed Living, Be Ageless, the podcast where we drop the masks, flip the script, and talk real life, real love, and real leadership unfiltered. I'm Stacey Vanthuyne, coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of the Xposed Living movement that's redefining what it means to live, lead, and grow at any age. We talk identity, reinvention, belief, and freedom from the bedroom to the boardroom. Yes, we go there. This is not about staying young. This is about waking up. So if you're done with the shoulds and craving more fun, more freedom, more truth, more you, then grab your favorite drink, your bestie, maybe your journal. It's time. Let's get exposed.
All right, my friends, welcome back to Xposed Living. On March 6th, my guest today and I will both be stepping on the stage at the Business Mastery Summit here in Edmonton, speaking to ambitious builders and leaders. I know you're going to want to join us. But before that stage, I want to introduce you to the man behind the message, Patrick Callaghan, an entrepreneur who built, scaled, and exited a successful construction company and then chose reinvention. Not because he had to, but because he felt called to more. Today, Patrick coaches entrepreneurs, athletes, and leaders on what he calls full spectrum success, aligning vision, mindset, discipline, and execution. His resume is impressive, but this conversation isn't about the resume. It's about the decision to evolve, the decision to risk comfort, the decision he continues to make daily to live the work he teaches. So welcome, Patrick, to Xposed Living.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. I appreciate being here. And yes, March 6th, Business Mastery Summit. I'll be speaking on the power of decision. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there and sharing the stage with you. And yes, everybody, come on out. Let's join us at that event. It's going to be fabulous.
I love that you mentioned the power of decision. So let's go there first. Share with me, Patrick, what was one difficult decision you made during your own reinvention when walking away from what was proven and comfortable to becoming who you are and doing what you do today?
There's so many decisions. The difficult decision was walking away from that financial security, right? Like, I think I was 16, 17 years in the business. I was what most people would call successful, had the new vehicle, the business we were doing. I do believe that year we did 17 million in revenue. Everything was looking good, had the wife, the 2 kids, the acreage, but deep down, I wasn't feeling aligned. I felt what I like to call like zombie mode, just kind of empty and passionless. And so that big decision was having that conversation with my partner at the time, being my business partner at the time, I should say, and deciding that, this isn't in alignment with who I am anymore. That was a tough decision.
I bet you. Even figuring out, we talk of the word alignment. Were you doing personal development at the time that kind of brought you to this place, or you just felt like something was off? I feel flat. I know I haven't always felt flat. So how do I reignite?
I wasn't doing personal development. I wish I was. I really, truly wish I was. I was burnt out, Stacey. I was legit burning the candles at both sides. I was running all over the province at the time, different jobs. And I didn't have a very good family home. Like my relationship was falling apart. And I was wearing that masquerade mask, showing up, putting on a performance for everybody. And it was going on for quite a while. I would probably say at least 2 years, if not more. And I was just burning the candle. I was physically exhausted, out of shape, spiritually exhausted, mentally exhausted. Yeah, I was the epitome of anti work. Like I was not putting in the personal development. Anti-personal development was the word I was looking for.
It's interesting because I resonate a lot with your story. I also never did personal development, and I think I just always knew there was a time, however, when I felt more alive. And often we have to get to this place of breaking down before we see different. And was that kind of the case for you? Is that it was almost I had to get to this place of complete burnout and exhaustion in order for me to do different? Or did you recognize it sooner and change?
No, it reached a point of where I had to change. At this time, the point I'm going to share right now, it's pretty close to home for me. At this time, my marriage we just separated. I was probably 6 to 8 weeks into the separation, and I was done. Like my personal life fell apart. I felt like I was failing as a father. I felt like I was failing as a business partner. And I remember one night I was sitting on the edge of my bed and I had a shotgun in my, and that was a turning point for me. It was tough. I mean, and you don't even, I've shared this story before, and you don't even realize what's happening. Like you're in this trance where, I don't remember grabbing the gun out of my case. I don't remember writing the letter. All of a sudden I was just on the bed. And what really snapped me out of it is I heard my son laugh, and he hadn't laughed in a while. And so that kind of just snapped me out of it. And I was just like, holy shit, what am I doing? Like, what the fuck am I doing? And that was a major turning point in my life. Right. And we talk about decision.
Yeah.
And decision, if you look up the word decision, the Greek terminology is crisis with a K, and it means a turning point. And so that's where the power of decision came into me. It was a major turning point in my life where I just said, I can't live this way anymore.
Thank you for sharing that. We always say in Xposed Living here, it's where we get unfiltered and really get down to letting go of those masks. So I appreciate you sharing that because it can't be easy. What did you do next?
Went to the closet, had a pair of running shoes, and I went for a walk. After I hugged my son. I hugged my son, hugged my daughter. I said, I'll be right back. And I went for a walk, and I started to I walked out to fresh air. That, a couple days down the road, those walks turned into jogging. I started looking after my physical self, hit the gym, I think I lost around 60 pounds, 60, 70 pounds, something like that. But it was still something, there was still something missing inside of me, but at least I was taking care of my personal self. Right. And so my physical part, I was missing the spiritual part and the emotional part still, but I tackled the only thing I knew. And I grew up an athlete, and I was always active doing sports. And so I did the one thing that I knew I could control, and that is my physical health. And I went look after my physical.
Do you think that people who find themselves in a low time, an opportunity for them to do different is to almost remember? It's almost this remembrance of what we were and how we felt in the past. And we get so busy. When you look back, how did you get to where you were? Was it that you started to have all these other masks and layer of what success is, found, oh my gosh, this isn't giving me the fulfillment that I want, find yourself in a really deep down time. And then to your point, you put your shoes on and remembered some of the things that made you feel alive again and started to build from that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, Stacey. I just remembered hey, I remembered that feeling of being active, being healthy, being fit, being able to run 10K in 35 minutes, being able to do all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, that's what I knew. That memory came up and it gave me a good feeling. Right. And I rode with that feeling to at least do something, take an action. Right.
So what was it then that you had to let go of to remember? What is the thing that you had to start to forget to remember then about, rebuilding and to get to where you are today?
That's a great question. I mean, I had to let go of a lot of things. I think the biggest thing that I let go of, and this is really within the last few years, is self-hatred.
Strong word. Can you expand on it as far as, was it that you were never good enough for yourself and no matter how successful you got, it wasn't good enough? Or what do you mean by self-hatred?
Yeah, it just wasn't good enough. Just like, and that was ingrained into me by like my dad and I'm not going to say my mom. My mom's a lovely lady, but my dad just like never really understood what I was doing. You know, every time I celebrated win with him or success, hey, we landed our first $1 million contract. Oh, are you going to make money at it? Or are you going to, like, you know, he just never anything positive to say, always calling me down. You know, him calling me down but almost till like 6 months before he passed away. And I was running my first triathlon. I was a couple weeks away from running my first triathlon. And he was, well, boy, you look fat. You look out of shape. And it's like, holy fuck, I'm in the best shape of my life here. I'm about to run a triathlon, you know? And so that was ingrained into me, that self, you know, hatred. I just never felt like I was enough. Never, like that deficiency mindset, scarcity, right?
Yeah, you know, Patrick, I applaud you for being so vulnerable because I think that few people really are as transparent as you are around the self-doubt. There's certain cases where it was really obvious, where your parents really shit on you, for example. But yet, have you found now, working through the things that we can't change how somebody treated us growing up, but now it's our responsibility of where it goes now to get to where you're going and you continue to move forward, that it was really up to you to override that. But that being said, also find that still self-doubt is still one of those things that limits so many of us.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the biggest phrases that I heard that really made a difference to me is Tony Robbins, your past does not equal your future. Right? And like when I heard that, I just love it. I actually got the symbol tattooed on my arm, you know, like it means a lot to me. And, you know, I just, we all have self-doubt. We all have self-doubt. There's no doubt about it. Right. I just being able to, like, what personal development has done for me is it's given me tools to manage that self-doubt, right? To be able to notice that that's occurring and correct it. Right. And I think one of the best things to correct our self-doubt is have a goal, have a vision, have a target of where we're going. And for those 48 plus years or whatever it was, I never really had a true destination. Right. I was that GPS, you know, recalculating, you know, you take a wrong turn, right? Recalculating. And that's what my life felt like for so many years.
Is it because you had a definition of success, that success meant money or status or something to that effect?
Yeah. I thought success was money. I thought success was status. I thought it was a title. I thought it was the materialistic things that people see. But yet I found out fast that success goes way beyond that.
Can you share, do you have a new updated definition for your own self around success?
Happiness, fulfillment, being aligned in what I do, having a purpose, connecting with your why. Why do you do what you do? And if you are connecting with that why and you're feeling fulfilled, that's success. At the end of the day, if you can smile and be happy and just go for a walk and look up at the sky and have gratitude in your heart and be happy, that's success.
So how did you get from taking these walks and putting your running shoes on to figuring out what it is that would help you find that alignment and bring back that joy in your heart?
Whew. How did I get there? Well, a lot of work, a lot of inner work. Well, I hired a coach. And that coach made a huge difference in my life. I also, at the time when I was doing my coaching, I was, you know, obviously getting some counseling, you know, to work through some things and just discovering a purpose in life. Right. And the purpose I found was to become a coach. I seen how greatly the coach that I had affected my life in a positive way, that I was like, I need more of this. Like, how do I do this? Right. Because I knew I wasn't alone in this journey. Like, I knew where I was. Like, there's so many people out there. If you're listening, there's so many of you out there. You're not alone in this journey. Like, if you're feeling unfulfilled or just in that zombie mode, like, reach out to people like Stacey, myself. Like, that's what we're here for, right? Find that person that helps you out. But it took a lot of work. I would say the biggest transformation moment I had in my life was discovering love for myself.
What are some tips people can do to help discover love for themselves?
Great question. You can connect with whether it's God, the higher power, whatever you believe in, connecting with that divine source, knowing that we're just a human form. We are just energy. We are just energy. And knowing that is a huge step into understanding that love is a choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I'm thinking to the people that are listening, either that have found love for themselves, or maybe lack some of it, like you said. But I'm curious to know tangibly what someone could do, or what you found really helped you to find that alignment. Because a lot of people say do the work or maybe hire a coach, but what are some things even that you did outside of it or continue to do without it that someone could take like one step today in doing?
Ask yourself, what do you love? What honestly, ask yourself, sit with it. What would I love in this moment? What would I love in this moment to do? Is it journaling? What gives you that sparkle in life? Is it going for a walk, looking outside at the stars and realizing that, wow, my problems are so small. Look how big this universe is. Whatever that little sparkle is, just find that sparkle in your life that gives you a little bit of joy, and then play with that for a while.
When you're talking, it's interesting to me because a lot of us Gen X's we grew up focusing on what we didn't have, what was missing consistently. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on that, because I know for myself, it's one thing I've been really intentional is, even we were talking about before we press record on parenting, and often I can feel my energy shift when I'm looking at what my kids haven't done versus all the goodness that it bring, or, and I know that that's some type of programming that I learned. And I think that we're not alone on there. So is that one thing that almost had to train yourself, is to start looking for what is there versus always thinking something else is missing?
Yes, that's a great point, Stacey. It's the flashlight syndrome. We shine our light on all the negative things, and that's stealing our attention, right? And so focusing on the good that we already have, just taking that moment and just looking around the room and being grateful for the computer and the camera and the technology that we have to communicate, our phones, our desks, and just having that gratitude in our heart for what we have. And if you really think about it and you look at the world out there, I have a roof over my head. I have a fridge full of healthy food. I have a closet full of clothes and shoes, maybe too many, but they're there, right? And just being grateful for those things that we have instead of looking for the things that we're lacking.
Yeah. So when you're on your journey and healing, what belief shifted first? That, you talked about feeling good enough, or that I am good enough, I'm perfectly fine. Was there other beliefs that you feel were really important in shifting in your journey?
Forgiveness.
Share.
Disdain. Disdain is one of the limiting beliefs that I teach people through, and disdain is that hatred or that resentment, bringing up the past hurts, dwelling on them. Forgiveness is a beautiful act. Forgiveness is something that, we're not forgiving the person or the event. Forgiveness is about ourselves. It's just about letting go. most acts that happen, it's either an act or it's either a call for love or an act of love. Most events that people do, it's a call for love or an act of love. And when we recognize that and we realize that those acts of love or calls for love, they're unskillful. People are very unskilled at calling out for love. A call for love could be a fight that you get in with somebody, that you love them so much that you just love to hate them at the moment. But that's you're calling for love. It's an unskillful call for love, right? And so that practice of forgiveness and letting go has been such a beautiful thing for me, right? I like to. I use the analogy of a piece of hot coal. Somebody does something bad, mad at you, and you probably heard this before. You're pissed off at them. You want to pick up that piece of coal out of the fire and you want to throw it in their face and watch their face burn. But in the meantime, you're burning your hand. So just let it go. Put down the coal. Don't burn yourself anymore. It's not worth it.
Thank you for sharing that. I actually hadn't heard that analogy, and that it brings me to something is that some people, and I know I've been trapped in there, is almost that, who am I if I let it go? So was that a really big part of your journey, was redefining what your future, and not just what your future you wanted to be, but how you're going to show up now as you move into this next chapter?
Yeah, forgiveness is, it's not just about who I am. It's about what can I do? What can I do if I let go of this? What are the possibilities, right? What's holding me back is a low vibration of resentment or hatred or disdain, beating up myself over things, the shooting yourself to death, right? Letting go of those things and just forgiving those acts.
Interesting. What do leaders, have you found in your experience, lie to themselves the most about?
That they know it all. I'm a leader because I deserve to be here. I'm a leader. I know it all. I've earned my way.
And what's the challenge with that, or what's the harm in that?
The challenge with that is really, it's a great question. I would say, you need to learn to lead yourself before you can lead a team. Right? So a lot of people, they get into that hustle bustle. They try to climb the corporate ladder, right? You've been in the corporate world. Everybody's trying to climb that corporate ladder, right? A lot of times when you're climbing that corporate ladder, you're stepping on other people's hands on the way up. Excuse me, you're stepping on other people's hands, or you're stepping on the rungs in the way up. And that's what sometimes leadership is people are wanting to climb that ladder. They figure they've earned it, and people are going to follow me because that's my title. I like to rebuild it by saying, well, instead of climbing that corporate ladder, why don't we build a ladder? Why don't we build our people up and they'll become our ladder? Does that make sense? Did that answer your question? Because it's a great question.
I think it's great. I think there's also a handful of leaders out there or more that also, it never started as that, but we live in a world of entitlement at certain times and victimhood. And so it starts to, the lines get blurry. You and I were even talking about that before with parenting, and when you're in it, sometimes you're in that you just you get blurred. And so my intention was great as I started out, but that, the longer I've gotten there, the more I feel that I'm owed this. And so I come out that way. And, so, and I don't think I would personally have the awareness to be saying this. I would be blaming, right? I think I'd be blaming people. But when you find people like that, how do you help leaders? Because again, there was a remembrance of them that was at one time a really strong leader and had the right reasons to do it before. So what are some things that we can do to help leaders become better leaders? I mean, you mentioned one with help building them, but personally, it starts within. So what would be some things that either you've done for your own self or would want to highlight and chat through?
Well, I mean, for myself, what I've done is constant study, being in the work. I live what I teach, right? And so learning to lead myself, living an intentional life.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
What would be one of the habits then that you've implemented that maybe wasn't there before? Because I'm sure when you're leading a company that is over, making 8 figures, that there was a part of you that felt like a strong leader too. And you were, otherwise you wouldn't have been able to do that. But what was some of the habits potentially that you find yourself becoming a better leader now and letting go of ones like being in the work?
Reflection is big for me, is just taking a look at the end of the month or the end of the week. Hey, what are some things I did good? What are some wins? What are some things I can improve on? Just that self reflection, self-assessment in a sense, just looking back and work, hey, what did I fail at? And then getting gold out of that failure, right? I think reflection would be the biggest one, and like a self-assessment.
I love the candidacy of this conversation with you, because I create this to help other Gen Xers. And when you're talking about that, one of the things that we do in reflection, kind of similar to before, is almost feel bad if we weren't performing. So a big part of reflection is coming into it neutrally, looking at it as just feedback, that you're only doing it not to shit on yourself even more, but like to actually say, if I'm not bringing this to light, if I'm not shining that light on there, then I can't change what I'm not willing to admit myself.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Yeah. And the thing about reflection is we need to act, or invite people to act like a scientist during reflection, not a judge, right? Don't judge the things that we're doing wrong or could be doing wrong. Just explore it. Ask why. What can I do different? Where did this come from? And explore it and approach it like a scientist, not a judge.
I love that. Now, yeah, lean in, get curious.
Lean in, get curious. Yeah.
Yeah. What are people still getting wrong about growth, do you think? I mean, you mentioned the importance of a goal. You think that people think that they have goals and they don't have goals? Or what have you found that people are still getting wrong, but maybe could improve around the concept of growth?
Is, tying your self-worth to a goal.
Sure.
A lot of people, my goal is a revenue-based goal. I want to make $300,000 this year. And if you don't make it, then you feel like you're not worthy enough. But you're not reflecting, potentially you're not reflecting on the journey that you had along the way, right? And who you're becoming along the way. So I think that tying and having a revenue goal is great. Having a wildly important goal, that type C goal, you know what I'm talking about there when we say the Bob Proctor analogy, right? With the type C goal or a vision, right? So discerning between a goal and a vision, I think, is where people get they get mixed up a little bit. They tie their self-worth to a certain goal. Well, we need to sell X amount of widgets. We need to lose fitness. We need to lose 30 pounds. I need to lose 30 pounds. If I don't, I'm useless. I'm no good. I'm ugly. I'm fat. Right? And so I think people tie their identity too much into a lower level goal. I'm not going to say a lower level. That's not the right thing to say, but
their current results more so.
Their current results. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say the success formula is be, do, have. We have to be it to have it. And a lot of us, I think we get tripped up because we've been led to believe, show me the proof, then I'll believe it. But yet when we consistently focus on what's missing or what we're not, then thoughts become things in that regards too. And so we get more of it and we're kind of curious, like, why does this keep happening to us? And are you thinking of yourself for what you are now, or where it kind of goes back to what you're saying of you at your goal achieved? And I'm curious, when you talk about vision and goal, share with me what the differentiator are or how that's helped you to grow, as far as what's your definition of vision versus grow or goal.
This is goal. So a vision to me is something that it's a blueprint. It's designing a life that you would absolutely love. And you're looking 3 years, 5 years from now, if everything's worked out, what is your vision for your life? Who are you with? How are you feeling? What are you making? How much time do you have? Where are you living? Are you traveling? What are you doing for, where's your happiness? The whole full spectrum success that I talk about, right? And so that's your vision. A goal. So let's just say your vision is the attic. Your goal are the steps to get to the attic, right? And so, yeah, it's a marker along the way. And like you say, with be, do, have, a lot of people get mixed up, and they have the have, they want to be the have, do, be.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And
once I have the money in my account, then I'll sign up with you, Patrick, to work out.
That's right.
This type of thing. It's like, well,
if this happens,
then what you're doing now isn't working. Like, what would change?
Yeah. And so Mary Morrissey says you want to come from the energy of your vision. So you want to come from the feeling of your vision and then take action.
This conversation. And I love how you're sharing. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more aligned. And I think that's the difference between success and sustainability. Would you agree?
Say that again. There's a difference between success and sustainability?
Between success, I think maybe more instant, and sustainability. Like, how can people, so it's not like a peak, because, back to your comment about sell X amount of widgets. I mean, when the back is against the wall, people will figure out a way to sell that number of widgets. But if they're not consistently scaling their identity behind it, that number will drop back down.
That number will stay consistent. They'll sell 20 widgets a month, and they'll get to day 20. And in those 10 days, they'll sell those 20 widgets, right? And that's their identity. That's their cybernetic setting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I love this. So share, Patrick, what would be your top learnings from your last few years of growth that you'd want people to hear and to know about, especially if they're in a season of feeling flat?
There's so much more out there. First of all, so if you're feeling flat, there's so much more out there. This world we live in an abundant world. So there's so much more out there for us to do. Design a life that you would absolutely love. Ask yourself the question, what would I love? What would I absolutely love? And answer that question.
I think you nailed it. I mean, what is the life that I want to create? And I love that you said that, you were in your mid to late 40s, even when you made a decision to change, and overriding that belief even there that I'm too old to make a difference now. I'm too old to change.
Too old to change. I better stick with my benefits.
Yeah.
What are people going to think of me?
Right.
Right. That whole self-identity.
And what would you say to that?
Now, what would I say to that?
Yeah.
Well, my identity is mine, and it's in here, and it comes from within. And so if people want to judge me, it's okay, because I know in here who I am.
I love that. Are you ready for some little popcorn ageless questions for some fun and lightness?
Absolutely. Let's do some
All
fun.
right.
Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun.
Honestly, I appreciate you. And you know what? If I'm going to ask Patrick after these questions how you can get a hold of him. So if you are in a season of feeling that way, I love what you said, Patrick. You're not alone. We all go through these ups and downs, but don't be a lone wolf. Reach out, get some help. I mean, I just applaud you. You gave me probably the shivers a few times listening to your story. And I think what I learned the most from it is that this too shall pass, as we've heard, that we can do different when we make a decision to do different. Is it easy always? No,
it's not easy. It's rigorous work.
Right. But neither is living that way.
That's right.
Yeah. Choose your heart. So when it comes to choosing of things, what would you choose? Would you go back to the 80s or the 90s?
90s.
Share with me why.
Good music in the 90s, man. Good music in the 90s.
Good music in the 90s. Do you have a favorite?
I love the Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem. Yeah, that's my workout stuff.
All right. So you love the Super Bowl from a few years ago.
Awesome. One day I'm going to learn how to do the sea walk.
There you go. What's more important, discipline or motivation?
Discipline.
Can you expand?
Discipline creates motivation. Motivation is temporary.
Thank you.
Discipline is longer lasting.
You did mention that you did a triathlon. Which swim, bike, or run?
All of them.
Which one's your favorite?
Neither at the time.
Neither. None of them.
My favorite. I did the best on the bike. I love biking. I'm strong. I got strong legs, strong endurance there on the biking. Yeah, but I learned a lot my first triathlon.
Cold plunge or sauna?
Sauna.
I mean, so we should all know that Patrick is also in Edmonton. As I mentioned, we're going to the Business Mastery Summit. So, I mean, not surprising that we'll take the heat. Share with me another belief. You talked about kind of the self part, but a belief you've outgrown, even in the last year.
What have I let go of? What's a belief I've outgrown? Doubt, for sure. Doubt in myself. Doubt in my message. I've outgrown a lot of fear. Right? I had fear of public speaking, and now I'm speaking on stages. My triathlon, just jumping back to that, I did not know how to swim.
Okay.
I was scared of the water. And I dipped my toes in the water one day, and I went for a swim. I swam one length, and I looked like a complete fool out there, slapping water, splashing, choking, barely made it to the other side. But that turned into being able to swim consistently over a kilometer.
What's been the best tool that you've used to get over that fear or doubt?
Well, it's belief in myself.
Belief? Is it just getting in and doing the damn thing?
It's just doing it, taking action, right? Taking action. I mean, I didn't know how to swim. I swam, 25 meters.
Oh.
Then I went to the hot sauna. And then I came back the next day and I swam 50 meters.
You know,
and then I came back and swam another 50 meters. And then it turned into 100. And then it was 150. And then the lifeguards started to notice, and they were like, you got this. Try this, try this. And then I was swimming, and then I was swimming, and then I was swimming. And next thing you know, I swam a kilometer nonstop in the pool.
Oh, right? I love it. You know, I read this quote the other day and thought it was so good. It says, you don't learn how to swim by reading a book.
No. You learn to swim by getting it. Doing it, yeah. Slap on a pair of Speedos and go for it.
So good. Okay. Couple more. What's one thing you loved about your childhood that you don't think the kids of today get to experience enough of?
Oh, imagination, right? Like just going out playing in the dirt and eating some dirt and drinking from the hose and, you know,
making your own bike games.
Yeah, playing fetch with the dog, and just our imagination was so much more powerful back
then. Yeah. Hey, Patrick, in this stage of your life, what does living exposed mean?
Living exposed. Great question. Being vulnerable, being authentic, being real.
Thank you for sharing. What are you most excited for in this next quarter? What you got coming up that you can tell people about, and where can they find you?
I'm excited for the Business Mastery. 15 minutes there. I love speaking on decision. I have my workshop that I'm releasing, Winning from Within, the 5 keys to ultimate success, or to full spectrum success. So I have that new workshop coming out, and my new program will follow that as well.
I love it. And where can people find you?
You can find me on my website at patrickcallaghan.ca. You can find me on social media I'm not on TikTok. Well, I am on TikTok, but I'm not very active on TikTok. But you can find me on Instagram at Patrick Callaghan Coaching, or on Facebook at Patrick Callaghan.
I'm grateful for everything you shared. And I just want to thank you for your vulnerability, for unmasking, for sharing, reminding us that success isn't something you achieve once. It's something you decide to choose over and over again. And to everyone listening, if you feel that pull to evolve, if comfort isn't cutting it anymore, you're done playing a flat life, and you're ready to stop talking about it and actually take action, make sure you reach out to Patrick. He's there to help you. And I know that his experience would only benefit so many of us. So again, thank you, Patrick. I can't wait to see everybody at Business Mastery Summit on March 6th. We'll also include those in the show notes too. And any last final thoughts?
No, not at all. I'd just like to thank you, Stacey, for having me, inviting me onto the show. I love sharing my message, and and speaking with like-minded people, vision-based thinkers. I just love having these conversations. Thank you very much. And please, if I'm not a fit for you, Stacey's a fit for you as well. So reach out.
Absolutely. I mean, what we shared is that real work doesn't happen on stage. It does happen in your decisions. Make a decision to join us. Get into rooms that expand you, that grow you. And remember, that's living exposed. What is the life that you truly want to live? I'm Stacey Vanthuyne, reminding you the edge isn't the end. It's the beginning. Be bold.
That's it for today's episode of Xposed Living, Be Ageless. But this is just the beginning. If this episode made you feel something, share it. Tag me. Send it to a friend. Let's start the conversation we can be having all along. No shame, no guilt. Unfiltered, raw, real, exposed. And if you're ready to go deeper, join us inside the Xposed Living Facebook community, where we take this work off the podcast and into real life. Know this, your change starts when your excuses die. Because this life, this one wild, ageless, unforgettable life is waiting on you. This is your time. This is your truth. This is Xposed Living.